So this is the first 0.0000 in time, and this is the Big Bang, and it's this golf ball shaped subatomic sized dot that just in the first second of time it just opened up, exploded and made our universe, and which later on provides us with things like energy, time, dimensions, light. Before this there was nothing, and that is how our universe was at the Big Bang.
So after the 10 first seconds of the Big Bang, the universe started generating very quickly, faster than we could ever imagine. The temperature was so large that we can't imagine. It was so hot. Over time, molecules, helium, lithium, protons, neutrons, and stars started to generate. The formation of our solar system started 4.5 billion years ago. During this time period, there were no continents, oceans, species, and there was no atmosphere. And the temperatures got as high as 2000 Kelvin in the inner solar system and as low as 50 Kelvin in the outer solar system. And one event that happened was the late heavy bombardment, which was caused from the quick migration of several of the gigantic planets. From this, 8 planets were created, and it started from a dark cloud and it ended up in planets like these from gravity.
This is the formation of the Earth, and this is the inside of the Earth, and this is the core of the Earth. So this is the low pressure core formation, and this is the high pressure core formation, and this is the volatilized, and then this and this are mixing, so the Earth. That's the formation of the Earth.
And that formed an Earth where there were lots of storms, volcano eruptions, and a very harsh climate which you did not want to live on. It was so hot that only life could be lived in the water, but that was only one-cell organisms because oxygen was very little, and they were the only ones that could live without it. A typical day was volcano eruptions and storms, and it got so hot during them that steam rose over the ocean.
As said before, it was dry and deserted above the water, but life was fulfilled underneath. This was 3.8 billion years ago, and the supercontinent was known as Europe. And a typical day included a lot of underwater life and meteorites crashing around. The atmosphere included volcanic gases, small traces of oxygen, but large traces of nitrogen and carbon.
And it was those warm oceans combined with the molecules from the asteroids that started life, correct?
Yes.
The climate during this time period depended on the position of the continents and the amount of active volcanoes that produce greenhouse gases. And during this time, there was bacteria that began to photosynthesize, but too much oxygen was created and it killed some of the bacteria, but some lived.
After the mass extinction that happened, this kind of opened the door for more evolution to happen because the only cells that didn't use photosynthesis at that time were dead. And so then once all of the cells that were left started using photosynthesis, they were able to become more complex, like multicellular organisms, and that led to the species that are created in the next time period.
Multicellular life began to flourish and evolve into more complex organisms as the time went on. This was setting the stage for animals to eventually colonize dry land.
Colonization of the land happened about 450 million years ago. First life on land was mainly algae and ponds and small puddles. There were some amphibians that colonized land a little later after that. But the atmosphere was filled with oxygen, so there were a lot of natural disasters such as fire because the air is very flammable.
Were there insects that colonized lands too,
Yeah,
Troy?
there's like small mosquito-like things.
Great.
Early reptiles happened about 250 million years ago, and the typical day of a reptile would be waking up, go hunting for their food, and then staying out in the sun, and then go to their swamp. And then once they would die, they would turn into what we have now as fossil fuels.
Early dinosaurs happened about 225 million years ago. A regular day for an early dinosaur time period was there were many swamps and grassy lands, and it was a lot of different terrain. The climate was very wet and hot. There was a lot of volcanic activity. Most of the colonization, which animals were in the water, and then there were only a couple animals that lived on land.
And so radiation of life on the land was when the animals were moved from the water to the land, and the oxygen levels on the earth were a lot higher, and the continents were in the Pangea stage, and then most of the animals that lived on earth were similar. They were either reptiles or very small mammals.
So this is the peak of biodiversity for the dinosaurs, the Cretaceous era. During this time, the atmosphere was similar to ours but had 15% more oxygen, and the extinction of this era was through an asteroid that hit the Earth and caused the volcanoes to erupt and fill the atmosphere with their ash, and that slowly died out the animals. And afterwards, that resulted in the smaller mammals coming out and having this free range of plant life to graze on, since they didn't have predators.
And how long was this shooting?
This was 154 million years ago to 66 million years.
All right, thank you.